Well, good afternoon, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Monday afternoon. It's now a little after 1 o'clock. Going to just track some thunderstorms this afternoon. Let me just skip right ahead to that. This is the radar this afternoon, and as expected, if you were with us in the morning briefing, we talked about the fact that we would see some thunderstorms this afternoon, and indeed we do have some. The best chance of these is going to continue to be in areas north of Sacramento, but I wouldn't be surprised if we even get a downpour as far south as the Roseville area later on today. Here's a little cell near Wheatland moving off to the north and east, and then this is some of the heaviest activity we're seeing in Butte County, and then farther to the north, I still think in areas in Tehama County, like in here, and farther to the north, that we will have a better chance of thunderstorms. Now give me a chance to get things set up here, because the other thing I like to do with these lives is just give you guys a chance to chat. And so if you have any questions or whatever, just go ahead and let me know about that, and we will chat. If anybody has any comments, questions, concerns, etc., go ahead and get those to me. So let me zoom in on a couple of these cells, because what we are seeing are these little downpours that pop up. So here's one that's near Loma Rica, and then this is the one that's really interesting here near Wheatland. So here's Lincoln down in here. That's Highway 65 right there. So this is just east of 65. This is containing some heavy downpours. Now, but it doesn't look as though we're going to see anything twisty today. In other words, it doesn't look as though we're going to see anything in the way of maybe some funnel clouds or anything like that. It just doesn't look like we have the right parameters for that. And then as we go a little bit farther to the north, these cells are relatively small, but I'll tell you, if you're driving through them, this is Highway 20 right here. So this is just north of Highway 20. And then we go a little bit farther to the north. Oroville, just a light shower, but then just east of Chico into the north, here's Magalia, here's Paradise. So this continues to be an area of heavy rain. Every now and then, though, this will spark a little lightning bolt will come out of here. Actually, there's some right here. It may be tough to see on whatever device you're showing, but little lightning bolts here and there. Now, the other thing I should do here is, because this is off of the Davis radar, let me switch around to the Beale radar, because you can get a better view of exactly what's happening by a closer radar. Come on. Come on. Come on. You can do it. It doesn't want to cooperate. I'll give it another second here, just to see if it just wants to pop up here. Yep, there we go. There we go. Okay, let me go over here. All right, so we get our towns back on there. All right, so these are some, so now we're at a closer radar, so you get better detail on here. Keep in mind that the Davis radar, by the time it gets up to these, is much higher into the atmosphere. In other words, into the middle of the clouds. When the radar is here, and then looking into the clouds, you're getting a better idea of what's actually getting to the ground. That is what we have in terms of the reflectivity. But let's take a look at if there is anything in the way of velocity here. Not really. Now, back here on the back side of it, there is this little area that has green pixels and red pixels. You also have these areas in here. But let's go ahead and see how that corresponds with the reflectivity. And yeah, I'm just not really seeing anything. There could be a wind shift in here, but it doesn't look as though anything is organized enough to give us anything in the way of funnel clouds or tornadoes. And we have seen occasionally the NWS has put up a special weather statement from time to time with a couple of these so far today. And we could see that once again later on today. Let's go a little bit farther to the south. This is how the Beale radar shows the one down near Wheatland. Here we go. Oh, that's the sprinkles around Roseville. It jumped around on me. Yeah, this could definitely contain some small hail, although I doubt the radar is going to show that very well. Let's go to hydrometeor classification. And this green, so if you go down here, it says light to moderate rain, moderate rain. What you're looking for, the colors that turn into the red especially. Not the magenta, but the red. The red would indicate hail, but the radar isn't picking that up. But the radar isn't always perfect when it comes to that sort of thing. The air aloft today is cold enough. Oh, look at this. This one has some red in it. That's not the best signature in the world. I mean, that could still be some, just kind of a messy sort of pattern in here. But let's animate that and see what we have here. In the meantime, I'm going to try to see if I can see if there are any comments here. So I'll find that on another computer here. So we get the comments turned on here. Either I'm not doing it right or there aren't any comments yet. Either way, yeah, I think that we could see some very small hail embedded in any of these. I think that's just what we're likely seeing today because the air aloft is just so cool. Let me back this out a little bit. And let's see, I think on my other computer, not that one. Yeah, I have some cameras called up. So this is Hamilton City right here. I wonder if I can expand this box a little bit. Come on. Thought I could usually expand this box somewhat. That'll help. All right, so this is Hamilton City. This is looking off to the east, and as we animate that, you see the clouds are going by, kind of some low decks in here. You can see the area of rain out in here, off to the north and east, and so that would be up toward the, let's see, north of Chico. So let's animate that again. But you're not really seeing anything threatening coming out of that base. It's just an interesting sky. Let's take a look at some other, let's see if we can see one that, oh, let's take a look at the Sutter Buttes. Sutter Buttes, someone needs to get up there and clean the lens. Volunteers are welcome. Yeah, that just, yeah, the lens is still too dirty up here. Let's see, down toward, let's see what this one looks like. This one's at the Thunder Valley Casino. And let's do 15 minutes here. This camera's moving around. That's not helpful. That's not helpful at all. And let's see, how about this one? Stony Ridge. It's too much into the ground. So we're not seeing anything too threatening up here. Let's go a little bit farther to the north. Let's see South Oroville. Looking up at one of these. Oh, that looks like a better sky. Yeah, there we go. Let me see here. Try something else on my other computer. Let's see here. I'm thinking I'm doing something wrong on my other computer. Because I should be able to see chat, but I'm not seeing it. Remember last time I did this, I had a tough time getting to the chat. I don't know where they put it, because I love to chat with you guys, but for some reason it is not coming up. Oh well, we'll move on. Now let me show you the satellite. I just love the way these things look on the satellite. Let's take a second to load up. So a lot of clear sky out in here, as you can see. And then we have, this is the solid deck of clouds that's over the foothills. So from Amador County through El Dorado County, all of this is just some light rain up in here. So what you want to look at is this area of clearing out in here. So we start getting a little bit of heating of the sun and heating from the sun. And then a little bit of cold air aloft to get some instability. So today's really a marginal day for, instability. It's not like we're expecting, a lot. And the colder air is farther to the north. The farther south you go, the air isn't quite cold enough. There could be a couple of light showers coming through the San Joaquin Valley and into, let's say, Tuolumne County, Calaveras County. But if you're looking for downpours, we will have the opportunity for these well through the afternoon, because we do have this little area of clearing back in here. And then we also have this low that's pivoting around out here. If you look at the clouds, Clouds are going this way here, and on the back side they're coming down this way. So this is that digging trough we've been looking at, and that digging trough will be good enough to keep us in the chance of showers, especially on the west slope, and especially north of Interstate 80 for the rest of the afternoon and through tonight. Let's go back to the radar. Go back to the Beale radar. I am kind of curious about, let's go back to the Davis radar. Let's see if this will load up. So I'm curious about these that are popping up in southwest Placer County. Let's see, let's zoom in on that a little bit. Yeah, there's some right on Interstate 80. These weren't here a little bit ago. Yeah, that looks nice. So these would be some downpours in Loomis. So for those of you in Auburn, these are going to go more or less parallel along Interstate 80. So for those of you in Auburn, looks like you may have some heavier downpours. Newcastle, same sort of thing. These are heading your way. This is like, it looks like it's going to stay just north of Granite Bay, perhaps. But this is going to be one of those things we'll see this afternoon. Little guys like this popping up. This one in Wheatland looks as though it pulsed and dissipated. Maybe a little one north of Woodland, not too far from Knights Valley. For those of you that haven't participated in one of these chats before and are wondering what I'm looking at there, that is the windmill farm that is west of Rio Vista. Yeah, that gets in the way of radar, and these are the windmills that are on the Altamont Pass. So yeah, they interfere with the radar quite a bit. Not to be confused with this stuff that is actually real, but also we have other ground clutter that gets in the way as well. This is Highway 50. This is the, for lack of a better term for it, the Costco Hill on Highway 50. This is the radar seeing cars go up the hill. And then this would be the Bass Lake grade between El Dorado Hills and Cameron Park. Again, seeing cars and trucks coming up and down the hill. So if you ever drive that stretch on Interstate, or I should say Highway 50, your car is being seen by the radar because it's looking for things that are moving, and the cars and trucks are certainly moving there. But that is not precipitation. This is precipitation, so is this, and so is this. So for those of you in Stockton, Modesto, Lathrop, Turlock, all of these areas are likely to stay dry this afternoon. And I don't think we'll see anything with thunderstorms here at all. There may be some light showers in Calaveras County and Tuolumne County. People in Twain Harte, Sonora, yeah, there may be a passing shower, but the best activity really is going to be farther north. Now on the satellite, I showed you that low overcast that's in El Dorado County and farther to the north, and there it is. It's kind of just that light rain. Actually, let's go back to the alert cameras and see if there's anything up the hill that looks interesting. Sage Hen is in the clouds. Tahoe Donner, let's see. Tahoe Donner's in the clouds. I was wondering if we're getting any snow falling. It looks like it's just murky. Yeah, and down at Cisco Grove, it's Cisco Buttes. Cisco Buttes probably also, yeah, sucked in clouds. Yeah, so it doesn't look like we're getting anything really fun up there. What about this one from Penn Valley? Yeah, also just kind of rainy and murky. And I think for those of you on the west slope, oh, they were seeing, that might be somebody's backyard burn. I don't know if today's a burn day or not. And then, but that's what these cameras do. They look for anything that's burning, and then all of a sudden we get some rain in there. But yeah, that might be, like I said, I'm not sure if today's a burn day or not, but you know, that's what those cameras do. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. All right, so for the people in Auburn, yeah, this little guy's heading your way. This thing is moving off in this direction right here. So you will likely see that. Maybe some downpours heading toward Auburn in a little bit. Oops. Thank you. And then this one near Beale. Yeah, this is a pretty good one right there. Yeah, I'm definitely doing something wrong here. Let me try over here. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I was just checking the chat to see if anybody has chatted. If you have put a note in, I have not seen it. So I'm not trying to ignore anybody. If if you have put something in and for a chat, it has not come through for some reason. Anyway, yeah, this looks pretty good right here. Let me animate this. You can see how these just kind of developed out of, seemingly nowhere. They just kind of pop up here. And that's kind of one of the interesting things about thunderstorms and trying to, quote unquote, track thunderstorms is, they're not as linear as a lot of people think, because they have to start somewhere. So it's not as if this thunderstorm here or this downpour right here, started on Interstate 80 down in San Francisco. It's been steadily making its way off. Instead, what we're likely seeing is this nice southwesterly flow aloft and at the surface, and then as it begins to encounter higher terrain, even though it's not that much of a climb between Roseville and Rockland, it's just that upward motion that is helping to fuel this little cell. And that's why the foothills often see more rain than the valley floor does. And so the east side of the valley, so for those of you in southwest Placer County, you're seeing some of these downpours. And again, it's not too far from Auburn. Here's Highway 49. Let's go up to Grass Valley. And there's Alta Sierra. Here's Grass Valley. Yeah, not too far away. This is the track from the radar. And let's pop on that. It times it out for you, which is kind of cool. And this is all just algorithm driven. It's not necessarily perfectly accurate, and it also depends on whether or not this thing holds together. All this does is say, okay, at its current speed, it says it's moving from the northeast at 14 knots. Actually, I think they might be moving a little faster, but that's the way the radar sees it. And so it just says, if you're here and you move at 14 knots, this is where you'll be at a certain time. So it's nothing more detailed than that, but that's what these things do. But it does give you an idea of the direction for the most part, as you can see here. Let's click off of that, and let's see what else we have here. Yeah, this one too. This one that's near Brownsville. Same sort of thing. This one says it's moving northeast at 21 knots. So by 2:17, it has this much farther to the north. But I think it would encounter much more between now and then. But it does give you an idea of movement and speed. But again, all of that is just algorithm driven. I don't believe there's really any human interaction that goes along with those. The only lightning strikes we're seeing are here, north of Sterling City, north of Magalia. So here's Chico, perfectly dry. Oroville, just some sprinkles. But there are lightning strikes in here. But this continues to be the area of heaviest rain. And let me animate that. Nice movement here. So some pretty good rain in the northern half of Butte County, heading into Plumas County. And we will, Plumas County, I think, is going to continue to be pretty wet this afternoon and into tonight. There could be some pretty good downpours there as well. But it's the southern edge, which is really interesting. So if you look down here, I mean, that's that big area of rain. Then if you go down here, it's this trailing edge in here that does have some convective opportunities to it for the isolated downpours. And they start right around the Roseville area. Wouldn't be surprised to see this backfill maybe down toward Folsom. Sometimes these things do fill in on the back edge. So let me stop this. So if you'd more or less draw a line right here, you wouldn't be surprised to see something maybe pop up on the southern edge of this, maybe in the Citrus Heights area, and move toward Folsom. We'll see. We'll see if this thing fills in from the back, because a little bit ago we saw this cell here, and then these guys are developing here, and so we'll see how it develops on the southern edge. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something a little bit farther to the south. And I still think that that's just clutter here. In Cameron Park, or what's there in Cameron Park. Let me animate that again just to make sure. Yeah, you see how these dots don't move? There is maybe a little cell dropping by, but yeah, you see how those don't move right there. Okay, but we'll keep an eye on this area here to see if we see something pop up into the Folsom area. But certainly around Rockland we have some downpours, and into the Lincoln area. We are seeing some nice downpours. I keep trying to turn on the chat room. And again, for some reason, it's telling me that there's nobody nobody's chatting. So if anybody is commenting, I apologize, but I don't see it. I don't know why. I don't know why. Let me try something different. Yep, for some reason. Yep, I must have done something wrong at the beginning. I apologize if any of you are commenting, and that's part of the fun of doing these things, is having chats, but I'm not seeing anything. Anyway, like I said, we'll continue to have the possibility of having these things pop up all the way through the afternoon. Let me see if I have this popped up. Yeah, let's go to the HRRR, and I'll go to the 19Z run, the most recent run in. HRRR updates every hour. Let me zoom out this, just move this over here. Move up a little bit. All right. So this is the way the HRRR shows the showers here. And as you can see, what time are we up to now? This is right around, this is about a half an hour from now. This is the 2 o'clock image. So you can see the heavier downpours that this thing is expecting. And then that's kind of what we're seeing now, but you'll also notice that in the San Joaquin Valley, we're not seeing any of it. And again, this is model data. So this is 3 o'clock, 4, and 5. So this is 5 p.m. Tehama County, downpours, maybe some in Placer County and Nevada County toward Grass Valley, Nevada City, and some downpours on the summit. But again, you'll notice with the valley, this model isn't showing much at all. But then even around sunset, this is around 8 o'clock, so around sunset, that same area continues to show some pretty good downpours. But once again, from Sacramento to the south, everything is dry. And then we have this little cell that wants to drop down during the morning tomorrow. This is tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and this model will only go another hour. That drops down in the foothills. So that's why I say I think Plumas County and the eastern half of Butte County are going to be pretty wet here for the next maybe as much as 24 hours, at least 18 hours. All right, let's go back to the radar. Yeah, still not seeing anything in the way of the backfill down here on that end of the radar. This still looks pretty good. But let's see if there's anything in the way of hail developing now. Well, this actually looks a little bit better. So this brown color is what the radar sees as graupel. So in other words, it is starting to see some ice pellets developing in here. Not so much down farther to the south in these cells, but we'll have to see about that. So yeah, I think small hail is certainly a possibility. Let's see if we click on this. It's on the information about, no, this just has a storm track. Sometimes they'll put on possibility of hail. Like maybe this one has. Nope, just a storm track. And then nothing on that one. Other fun things here on the radar. Keep in mind, I use radar scope. For those of you that don't know, I use radar scope, which is what we're looking at here. Let's look at enhanced echo tops. The echo tops in this area that are blue, that corresponds to 17,000 feet, 22,000 feet. The darker blue, that's here, 22,000 feet. If we got to really dark blue, it would be 27,000 feet. So these are pretty low tops in here. Which is pretty typical for Northern California. We occasionally get them up over 30, 32, and that would be a green color, but we're not seeing that today. We do see that in the Sierra when we get the afternoon thunderstorms in the Sierra during the summertime. We get them up into this greenish colors, but keep in mind that the scale on the bottom, let's see if I can move this up for you. Yeah, so this is what I'm looking at down here. There's a scale down here at the bottom, and you see it yellow, it goes to 57,000 feet, then 62,000 feet, 67,000 feet. Yeah, this is Midwest kind of stuff. For us, we're usually in these blue colors or maybe these green colors at best when we have some big thunderstorms. But yeah, today they're relatively low, but it's just another one of the fun things you can look at on the radar. All right. Yeah, so it's a nice afternoon with these cells developing. Let me go back to the satellite. Let me refresh this. And actually, let me make that. And let me stop and go here. Okay, that's the most recent image. And let me just zoom in. So many of you in the valley are seeing a lot of sunshine, and it must look interesting in the valley looking to the east because that's where you have the dark clouds. And even though we have clouds over the San Joaquin Valley, we're not going to see anything in the way of rain there other than maybe a sprinkle. And these clouds they don't have the great definition you'd like to see for, classic thunderstorms. I was thinking today that I might, want to go out and do some photos or some time lapse or something like that. But it just doesn't look very, very interesting right now. That might change later on today, but the sky just doesn't look all that fun. But at least we have some downpours, and it's nice to have some rain here in the middle part of May. It helps to keep the grasses a little bit wet. We all know that fire season is coming eventually, and the longer we can put it off, the better. I'm gonna. Especially since my chat feature is not working, which is a bummer. I like chatting with you guys. So I'm gonna wrap this up here, just because this doesn't look all that fun. But yeah, this will continue to be the wettest area. Magalia, toward Paradise. All of this area will be the wettest because we'll likely see more develop here, and then we'll have that other wave come through as we go through the night tonight and early tomorrow morning. So for those of you from Lake Almanor and Chester down toward LaPorte, Quincy, this whole area is going to continue to see on again, off again rain with some pretty good downpours from time to time. And we're starting to see maybe some better activity here in El Dorado County. But the farther south you are, the less activity there is going to be as we go through the day today. All right. Well, like I said, I just wanted to, have some fun, look at the radar with you this afternoon. There will be another chat tomorrow morning, another weather update tomorrow morning as usual. But that's everything I've got for you this afternoon. Hope you enjoyed some thunderstorm chat. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'll talk with you later.